fun begins.
How's it going?
Hello.
Well,
Greetings, young Jedi.
hello there.
Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and today we're taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series Magnaguard Revenge of the Sith 20th Anniversary Collection figure. Before we get into that, let's take a look at the Star Wars The Black Series 501st Tactical Ops Trooper Revenge of the Sith 20th Anniversary Packaging figure. That's a mouthful. Look, this guy, I'm giving him away. Box isn't mint. Gonna be 100%. A little beat up. That's how I found it on Walmart shelves. He's an amazing opener. 2,500 subscribers, and I will put up a video where you leave a comment, and I'll pick a random comment after a set amount of time. So, subscribe, tell a friend, get the word out there. 2,500 subscribers, giving away an awesome 501st clone. So let's make it happen. Now, back to the Magnaguard. Guy looks super, super cool. This is our third Magnaguard in the Black Series, one of which was a Jedi Survivor Gaming Greats repaint in non-separatist colors because they'd been reprogrammed for use by pirates. And then the other one, you actually see in the cabinet back there, he's kind of like a very, very pale gray, almost white. That's Clone Wars accurate. That's what they look like in the Clone Wars animated series. But this guy is a very accurate looking Revenge of the Sith version. So we're very excited about this one. I'm so excited. I bought 3. I always buy a retro card to keep on the wall, but I needed 2 of this guy open, so I'm very excited. Let's get into this review and see if this is a figure for you. Here's our Magnaguard in the package. We always got to start by taking a look at the package, of course. This is special packaging, not a Black Series box, but a retro card-styled bubble-on-card, which dates back to '05 in this particular style, with your Darth Vader helmet in the back over a big fiery background, and then the bubble carries your character, his many accessories. Get a nice cool picture of the Magnaguard there, looking super imposing. Really beautiful picture. His name over there, Revenge of the Sith, beautifully displayed right in the front, and then a warning in 4+ over here. Around back you get a bio, not about the character, but of the anniversary. That picture of the character again, picture of the figure, a bunch of legal stuff, barcode and legal stuff down below. Just really, really cool stuff. I gotta say, they don't make figure boxes like this anymore. They just don't. You know, the old Kenner boxes I'm not super hung up on, but like, I don't know. I always loved a picture of a helmet with a card on it, and they just don't do it anymore. So the Hasbro ain't there at this point, but I love seeing this stuff. So here's our Revenge of the Sith Magnaguard out of the packaging. Let's go ahead and start by taking a look at his accessories. He comes with both versions of the Magnaguard staff. You see these throughout varying different media. You have this version where it is just silvery gray plastic. You have sculpted lines going up and down the handle, and then at each end there's this kind of like knob, you know, before it kind of skinnies up. Not to a point. It is blunted on the ends, but that's okay. This is a good-looking staff. It actually fits the electric effects rather well. I'll pop those on. However, in the packaging, they have the electric effects on the other one, which the electric effects don't fit very well on. We'll set this aside. This one is actually the version of the staff I like more. It has a very similar handle with the like the ribbed, you know, like grips going all the way up and down, and then you have the ends just captured in the glass-looking tubes. It just looks like, I don't know, Tesla coily, electrical-y more, I guess, but it's just a very large end, and so, you know, you put the electric effect on it, it doesn't cover it from top to bottom, and it gets really gappy, you know, so I think that the effects look better on this. If you're going for an effect-looking thing, however, I normally don't do a lot of effect pieces, so I think I'm just going to have him hold this without the effect pieces on my shelf. So, setting him aside, looking at the Magnaguard. If you've had one of these before, you know what you're getting here. The Magnaguard, in my opinion, is one of the best-looking Black Series figures as far as his sculpt goes. However, performance-wise, it is one of the worst Black Series because of how fiddly so many things are on him. Plus his scale is a little bit wrong. He's, you know, these guys are supposed to be the guardians of General Grievous, his protectors, and I guess any other, you know, like separatist senator, high-ranking person. But they're supposed to be tall, and they're like one of the shortest battle droids we have so far, so that's a little whack. But third time's the charm here, I suppose. You know, they haven't fixed the scaling or nothing. But he's finally in the correct Revenge of the Sith coloring. So you'll find, if you peek under this cloak a little bit here, there's a bunch of armor plates, and they're all sort of like glued down overlays all over. And so something that's common on a lot of these is this front piece just kicks a little off to the left. It's just what they did. I don't really know why. But they've done some excellent weathering here. Of course, he's silver metal because, droid made of metal, but they've really done some excellent scuffing all over to wear that blue paint off, to make the silver expose underneath, even like up on his forehead, and those bright red eyes are really just blowing through there. I mean, he's an excellent looking droid. I really love the burn effects going on his cloak. It's just a really, really nice looking way to tatter it. Down here you have holes through some of the burn effects. I mean, that is quite excellent. It's kind of like a two-piece sort of, this lays over this piece, but it works very, very well, and it's just a very good-looking cape. Something that you'll find, let me just go ahead and do it, raise his arm up. Yep, shoulder pad falls right off. They have a peg on the back and the front, and they peg into 2 notches on the world's most rubbery shoulder pads, so you bend the arm at all, and it just pops, and so that is junk, Hasbro. Now, I'll tell you how I fix mine, and maybe I'll do it at the very end, but basically, I just fill those sockets. I pose the arm down like this. I fill those sockets with super glue, and I glue it down. That way, when the arm is straight down, it gaps, and when you raise it up, it just limits you to that high up, but that's enough because there's a good ball joint in there, so I don't know. That's been how I fixed all my others because I don't want to lose those, but yeah. But looking at the rest of this guy, I mean, he's beautifully painted. I gotta say, they really did some excellent work here. His left shin is silver. He's got a little 3PO effect going on there. I looked at my other ones, too, and they're all the same. They just, I don't know, they just don't paint, I guess his right shin, our left, his right. But yeah, his right shin is done in silver, and the rest has that blue, like a beaten, scuffed effect going on. Very, very nicely painted. I cannot emphasize that strongly enough. They did some really, really nice work here. But spinning him around, we'll go ahead and just look under the cape. Yeah, there's the other shoulder pad falling off. I mean, it's just, shoulder pads on this guy are a mess. But a lot of rubbery overlays going on in there, but there's a lot of nice sculpted internals too. Like, I mean, I can't say the figure's trash entirely because like there's a lot of really cool stuff going on it, but just performance wise, he just fails to hit more or less every single mark. And I mean that is worth commenting on in my opinion. But I mean, he's really, really nice where a lot of other things aren't. But just a really good looking figure. To run through some articulation as best I can, because every time I mess with these, I seem to find a little bit more. A lot of it's really, really good, but there's a couple things that kind of like, but it's whatever. So he's got one of those like double ball necks, which allow him to look that high up, that far down, he's side to side, and a bunch of pivot in there. His arms, not on a butterfly joint, but there's like a long peg with a ball joint in there. So the shoulder can fully rotate, and then you can hinge it that far up without the shoulder pad on it, of course. When I glue my shoulder pad down, it's going to limit it to basically a T-pose. And then, of course, 360 because of ball joint. There's nothing going on swivel at the bicep. There's single jointed elbows that go to 90 and then swivel at the elbow. The forearms are a peg that go into the first forearm, second forearm. I guess, the forearms have a peg in the middle, basically, is what I'm getting at here. And then the hands hinge in and out and rotate at the hand, but they kind of rotate a little bit of they rotate at like a little bit of like an angle. And so, I don't know, you kind of just got to fiddle with the position of the forearm to get the hand quite where you want it. But then you can get, like a vertical hinge. You can twist it to whatever position works for you, basically. There's a mid-torso ball joint buried up in there, which allows him to crunch that far back, that far forward. Get some side-to-side and pivot in there. And then, yeah, nothing lower. The legs are on like a double ball joint where it's a ball joint in the hip and then at the outside of the thigh. So, you can actually like gyrate the thigh a little bit and you can kick all the way around, basically. There's no thigh swivel because like where would you put it? But you do accomplish a little bit between those two ball joints there. So like that's nice. And then the single jointed knees go past 90 and then swivel at the knee. So like you don't even really need a thigh swivel anyway, but whatever, some think you do. The feet can point that far down, really far forward, and there's a forward-facing pin for rocker, but it's kind of like forward and down, because he's kind of got that like high heel shape going. So it's like, I mean, it's just, you got to kind of work with the figure. A lot of this isn't necessarily, like a Hasbro problem, like Hasbro making garbage droids or nothing. A lot of it is really more, or Hasbro making bad figures. A lot of it is just like George Lucas makes weird spindly robots that just wouldn't exist in real life. The Magnaguard does not lend itself to existence really well. He just, he wouldn't stand well. He's too spindly, and just the existence, he wouldn't work IRL. But I digress. He's here, and he's painted nice, and I can't gripe about that. Here's the Magnaguard next to several other types of battle droids, and then a 501st Clone Trooper. And it's like, he's the same height as a 6-inch figure, and Grievous needs to be, like, towering, and so it's like, they're just so short next to Grievous. In the Black Series, Grievous isn't even a correct scale figure either. He needs to be like an inch taller. So there's just a lot of things that are wrong with the scaling here. Hard to say that that's good, but you blend him in with some other droids on the shelf. He looks all right, and again, just really well painted. So it's hard to complain there. So at the end of the day, what do I think of the new Revenge of the Sith Magnaguard? It's all right. Look, I mean, the paint is really, really selling it here. This guy looks beautiful. I could praise the paint all day long, but the sculpt wasn't great when it came out 2 years ago. It hasn't improved since. This is their third go with it. It's a bit of a frustrating, annoying figure, and I shouldn't have to be gluing down shoulder pads. I shouldn't have to be really fiddling with, like, weird articulation. It's almost a little bit overdone, and honestly, I would forgive all of it if they just scaled the mold up 10% and ran it, a little bit bigger on future releases, just so that he would be the right size. But I digress there. They did some great stuff here. The cape looks amazing. I love the cape, the cloak. The paint looks amazing. It's one of those things where it's like, the figure itself, I don't quite want to say he's a turd. There's worse Black Series, but it's effectively a well-polished turd. There's just a lot of things on it that could be better, but a lot of what they've done here is very, very nice. So, do I recommend it? Yeah, I mean, if you want, Magnaguards for your Grievous, it's an obscure enough figure. Hasbro's not going to redo it. Let's just be 100%. This is the Magnaguard that's in the line to stay forever. So, it's like, can you tolerate it enough to, tolerate it? Like, yeah, I mean, I can. I think that it is fine. It'll be perfectly passable. Maybe you wait and see if you find this guy on a little bit of a deal. Maybe you'll find him. Maybe you won't. Hard to tell, especially early days. But I think he's cool, and I casually recommend him, but just know what you're getting. So that's all I got for now. Thanks a bunch for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and get into that 501st Trooper giveaway when the time comes for that. I'm going to go work on some other stuff now, so until next time, may the Force be with each and every one of you, and have a good night.